This is Remnant 2. We're here on PlayStation 5 Pro. Be sure to like the video. Subscribing is great as well. This was one of those games that was pretty technically demanding for the base PlayStation 5. It used a temporal resolution scaling technology in order to hit kind of higher resolutions from lower internal resolutions. And this actually benefits from the PlayStation 5 Pro, just in terms of actually pushing and hitting more of the internal dynamic resolution scaling targets that were set for this game. There's three different graphical options. Currently, we're presenting the quality mode. So you may notice in terms of the fluidity, it's only it's a limited frame rate, if that makes sense. Usually we talk about resolution first, but anyways, yeah. So this is something where on the base PS5 we were getting 1300p, and it was temporarily scaling to 1440p, and it was 30 FPS. Oh, and there's HDR too. But this is kind of your clearest mode. It's still this game definitely could do with a proper enhancement. I think we could hit a lot higher bounds. But this is kind of almost maxing out your resolution possibilities until they actually, deliver something that is, actually taking advantage of the hardware to the full extent. But you can see it's a lot cleaner. You still get some fuzzy stuff around like hair and some of the environmental elements. And it's not great to play a shooter at 30 FPS in my opinion, but, you do you. The next mode is the balance mode. So for the balanced mode, what you're getting here is an internal resolution scaling above the 800p mark to 1440p at 60 FPS. Now the benefit here is that we're actually getting a smoother frame rate. Because if you've played Remnant 2, I think you're going to be pretty familiar with how this game sort of was fuzzy, to say the least, and also on top of that, struggled with performance in a number of areas and situations. I'm just kind of glad we're here because this is pretty well lit. Now, it's still a softer picture quality, but the sharpness has been increased quite a bit on this one, honestly. It looks a lot visually better, and it's a lot more clear in actually seeing what is going on here. But again, like I said, it is quite a bit of a lower internal resolution, and that was mostly just because the base PlayStation 5 was kind of struggling a bit to get this going. Holy, oh, that's not good. Good thing I got that checkpoint there. Absolutely getting torn apart. So balance mode is usually a pretty good way to play this game. Yes, I know about the map. Thank you. And I would say it should be maybe kind of the one you go for, since it is giving you a bit of a, smoother frame rate, and it's giving you a better resolution quality. So this game is a Souls-like shooter game. It is basically built for co-op though, and I would recommend playing it in co-op if you can, whether that's people joining or you're playing with your pals, randoms, because this game can be really quite grueling and difficult. Just putting it out there and trying to give you an idea of, well, basically the different graphical modes here. So I think this looks a lot better than what I had played prior. As I said, though, across the experience, you're still seeing that kind of like fuzziness and stuff, and in general, Unreal Engine games faring a lot better on the PS5 Pro, which is fantastic. Really tired of all the fuzziness. Then we have performance mode. And there's FOV you can adjust to if that matters as well. So for the performance mode, this one, I don't know if you saw that, a little bit of screen tearing. This one's a little trickier too, because obviously the best frame rate is ideal, right? So what you're getting here for the performance mode is it was originally 720p. It's actually, and again, temporarily scaling up to 1440p. That's kind of just the thing across the board, is 1440p. It was just kind of the goal. was that across the board. But I think even in this mode, you can tell that the picture quality looks a lot clearer compared to what it used to be if you're used to playing Remnant. I guess if you haven't played, you know, Remnant 2, you're not really going to have a great frame of reference. Oh, I'm so going to die here. Take your heart! Oh, that's not good. But yeah, this mode is interesting though, because it's not just like, oh, you know, we bopped down the internal resolution a bit. It actually has an uncapped frame rate. So it could theoretically go up to 120 FPS. It's still not perfectly stable, and I think you're kind of seeing that with the screen tearing that is present on the screen. I'm hoping that shows up in the video. Most of the time it does, but you know, sometimes. Where did you? There's where did that come from? I thought I killed everything in this room. That's what I'm saying. Dark Souls, right? Another Souls-like game, but it's a shooter, so you know, lots of fun there. Anyways, as I was saying. This mode is kind of cool if you want to try your luck at having higher frame rates. It's just kind of the screen tearing in that, which I hope does show up on YouTube so you can actually see in action, might be something that is a little annoying to you, gameplay-wise, because it is kind of, see that kind of like awkward kind of motion when you're looking side to side. You are really kind of mean for popping out and doing that. I do not appreciate that at all. And like obviously YouTube still doesn't support the higher frame rates at the current point in time, so I'm not really even able to show you properly how this feels for fluidity, but it is smoother, which is great. So that in itself is really, really quite exciting, is having something that just gives you the overhead to push a little bit further. But that's where I was kind of saying that I do think that balanced mode is a little bit more of something that like gives you that mix between visuals and performance and won't feel super awkward to play in this one. And there's motion blur too if you want to kind of have that on. So we're going to put on the quality mode because we didn't really show combat with it, but yeah, here it goes. And the game has a variety of different classes. You kind of re-roll your environments. They've added stuff and lots of different challenges, weapon ammo, crazy bosses you fight, various monstrous foes. You gather various relics, items, and things that improve your abilities and make you tougher. You kind of solve light puzzles in the environments, progress.
This looks important.
All that sort of fun stuff. Different trait cards. Yeah, there's quite a lot to this game in terms of what you gather and how you build up your character and become stronger over the course of the games you play, and you know, you're trying to get better gear. This mode is certainly by far the clearest in terms of fidelity. But I just, yeah, I don't like the lower frame rate in this one. It just makes it a lot harder to play. So I'm going for the balanced mode. Maybe not. There we go. Now do keep in mind, there is also an element of how insane things are in the screen. So that will change performance levels, and also depending on how many players you have in your lobby, going off against some of those crazier bosses, there can be a lot happening. This game really did have bad performance at launch, to the point I don't even think I was able to really finish the end boss until like a couple updates, because the frame rate would just drop to like 5 FPS when it came out. It was not in a good state. And they've since improved that a lot for the base PlayStation 5, which is expected. I certainly think that's expected. And it's just kind of cool to be here on the Pro, kind of seeing like image quality that's actually like a lot clearer. Like the clarity and the fidelity of the game is a lot better, a lot improved. And that's just with raw overhead because they've got the internal resolution scaling set. So that's why this kind of makes it a great candidate for a revisit, at least in my opinion here, because it allows us to see a little bit more of something, you know, getting bumped up. I actually wish a lot more games would support like dynamic resolution scaling, or kind of like having that level of future proofing, because it just allows future consoles like this that come out of the woodwork to instantly look better without necessarily having to have that update. But I do hope that the team behind this, and they're usually really good for that, so I would imagine something will be coming down the road. I do hope that they actually apply a proper like bump up, because I do think the PS5 Pro can potentially handle a little bit more. You know, especially with the resolution scaling sort of technology and the temporal scaling technology. It would be cool if they would implement or try Pisser. I know there's been mixed results on that for the UE games, but I do think this is one that could benefit from that. I think this area is a pretty good showcase, too, of the visuals of the game, just in terms of a little bit of, like, outdoor shots, indoor locations. Other really good maps for testing out would be the forest, which still has, again, that, like, blurriness that pops up, like I've mentioned, from the scaling in effect. And then there's also this... it's the forest and the ruins, and then there's this other map, too, where things get pretty intense. Friend! One of the weird, crazy folks you come across. There's, like, a bit of a narrative and everything behind this, too. It's neat, though, because you could, like, kind of replay it. Because each time you play it, you basically have, like, a different story setup that happens, and different scenarios that go on, and you meet some different characters. Yeah, it's kind of cool from that perspective. It's just the whole Souls-like element of it kind of makes it a little, you know, a little challenging. I did play through all of this on, was it Xbox when it came out, and yeah, I remember redoing my, like, roll, too, because it was so difficult, and they've, actually rebalanced quite a bit of things. Oh, and there's all this lore bit stuff too, and yeah, there's a lot going on in this game. a lot of challenge to it, and some people really like it. The first game, very very successful, had a lot of DLC released for it, a lot of like expansion stuff. It was very well supported by the developers. Didn't really love that one. I had a lot more fun with it, though, when I played it, like, years later and basically had someone essentially almost, like, carry me through the latter half of it, and then I was like, oh, I'm kind of rolling through this. So, take that as you will. And this one, you know, like, I streamed it all, and it was pretty grueling, honestly. I think it's a little easier, more balanced now, and the performance thing was a big problem for this. So the fact that this actually, you know, gives you better performance, I think is something you should probably love having. Honestly, it makes a world of difference actually having something that has visual clarity to it. And on top of performance clarity. I think I totally took a wrong turn at Albuquerque. Okay, so you come in here, and oh yeah, then I gotta go through the back and then go up through the top. I gotta go around on the second level because I didn't gather enough cool things. This mask does nothing for me at the moment. Mostly because I gotta bring it to that, like, it was the starting area, and it opens the thing. It would be like a boss fight and stuff you gotta go through. It's a whole ordeal. It's a whole ordeal. And you're always, like, upgrading stuff, too, and there's, like, people back at the main destroyed sad district because you're basically jumping through these red stones of time. There's a whole franchise around this if you didn't know that. I think there was even like a kind of an RPG kind of spin-off sort of thing too, where it was sorry, no, RPG makes it sound silly. Like this is like a role-playing game, but there was also one where it was like swords and stuff, and I can't remember what that's called. I checked it out, something like Chronos or something. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, whole kind of universe setup. And you are basically, you know, moving through these redstone things, different universes at different times, and you do different challenges based on that with different enemies, and it's really quite a production. No, seriously, there's a lot to this game. It's genuinely kind of impressive in terms of what you do and the challenges that arise. I can't get that way. Lets me roll over to freedom. Yeah, I think I am supposed to actually interact with some of the... There's lots of potential ways to go where I need to go. This took me up higher. I like to explore too. Like the level of detail in the environment looks fantastic.
Here they come.
It's nice to see this game and it not just be a blurry mess, honestly. That probably sounds so weird to someone just watching this, not having context of the game, but if you've played this on the PlayStation 5, like the base one, or like on the Series X too, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And this is like a complete world of difference here. Like it's actually kind of running smoothly now, it looks good. Very, very happy with this. Now I'm going back into the creepy basement. Ugh. I want to get up to that, like, higher level would be ideal. Although there's, like, swamp levels, too. Like, there's a lot of different, like, visual areas that could, like, really showcase just how demanding this game is. It really is genuinely a pretty demanding title. So it's going to be interesting to come back and take a look at this. If they do a proper enhancement, which, as I said, they're a very supportive studio in that regard, so I would imagine they would do so. Can I finally talk to this thing, or is it all weird? I think there's like a certain way I'm supposed to like greet it or something. Talk to me. It's just dances. I feel like it's just psychologically messing with me. Because we have the mask. I could bring the mask back to the... You know what I'm supposed to do? I'm such a fool. Yeah. Yeah. You know what I'm supposed to do is I'm supposed to take this back. I go to the top level. I put the mask on the thing and then it opens the other side of the map, doesn't it? That's exactly what it does. Hey, we got to kill some extra... I don't know what they are. Are they like pixies or something like that? They're very, very weird enemy creatures. You know, with the flying wings that are ethereal looking. They're pretty cool. Yeah. Pretty cool looking things. Okay, I need to get back to the courtyard. A lot of awkward walking. There's like some dungeon areas too, and again, like I said, there's like different levels to it as well. Like you'll go in, you'll do like one thing, and then you can like redo the area, and it'll kind of be like a different kind of like dungeon approach sort of setup. Like it's enough that it's fresh, but also enough that it's familiar too. So you're like visiting areas you're aware of when you revisit, but it's also like a little bit fresh. And you can just join other matches too online in that, which is always entertaining. It's actually pretty good looking now. Huh. Don't know how much of that's just updates, raw updates, and how much of that's just kind of the pro giving you a little bit of a bump, but I do appreciate it. Oh, not on that one. What about this one?
Looks like it's missing a piece.